Hello, friends. Welcome to Coffee Talk. A new season of dance is upon us, and Laura and I are really excited to be here. Coffee Talk is brought to you by the International Dance Entrepreneurs Association, also known as IDEA. You can learn more about IDEA at ideadance.org. Laura, how's it going, my friend?
It's great. I'm excited to be back for our next season of Coffee Talk, Ray. Thank you for having me back. How's everything going with you?
Oh, I'm going to say life is good on this side.
Good.
And you began teaching a couple weeks ago. How's it going for you at the start of the year?
I did. Libra opened up the Tuesday after Labor Day. So we hit the ground running early September, and it's been fantastic. It's been great. Highest numbers we've had so far, and great staff, great kids, great families, nice parents. So we're in a really good spot. I'm not gonna lie.
Like you just ticked everything off that every dance teacher dreams of. How lucky are you, my friend?
No, I'm really lucky. I'm really lucky.
When it comes to enrollment, above your expectations, meeting your goal, what are you feeling there?
I actually had to reset a goal because I surpassed it before we opened. I wanted to hit last year's highest, and I hit that by day one. So now I'm like, okay, what's the next goal? So, which is exciting, a little terrifying too, because I'm like, oh, okay, I know what that high number felt like last year. It's a lot.
As far as keeping it all under control, maybe is that what you're?
Yeah, the systems and the processes, all that kind of stuff. But those happy faces, those little ones in my dance studio, that brings, makes it all worth it. So I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. Proud of you, my friend.
Thanks. And how was you went to the Weissman demonstration? How was that?
I did the Weissman costume show. That was awesome. Weissman puts on quite a show, quite an extravaganza. I've been participating in it, I think, for 14 years. I've been speaking at this event. And, I've been there so long that I've made friends with particular teachers who I've seen year after year. I really enjoy working with them. I also just did a keynote for the Association of Dance Conventions and Competitions.
Yep.
And that was a lot of fun. I went in slightly nervous because I have some strong opinions about dance competition.
Yeah.
But I worked my speech and everything in a way where it was more about these are the things that we need to think about. These aren't, and nobody's doing anything wrong here, but what about this and what about that?
Right.
And in the long run, it was felt really good. Good reception from the competition and convention owners. It was a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We get a lot of competitions that offer that, so I'm very familiar with that.
Actually, there are like 30 maybe or more members of this group. In the old days when I was actually running dance competitions, you were alone on your island.
Yeah.
The fact that they get together to discuss the field, they get together to talk about the future, how to be better organized. How cool is that? That's one of the things I pointed out to them.
Well, I feel like it's kind of like IDEA too. That's what IDEA is. And I read a quote the other day and it made me think about IDEA. It was competition is at the bottom, collaboration is at the top. And I was like, So I think we as studio owners don't realize how much more we have in common than necessarily compete with each other, I feel like competitions are realizing that too.
I agree. Each one of us is a unique entity, and should always focus on what we bring to the table, wasting no time checking out the competition. It's just a way of life. Once you've decided that that's the way it's going to be, you move through the rest of the journey confident in yourself.
Yep.
So we have a special guest. Liz Imperio is here today. Superstar Liz Imperio coming up. I am going to run a commercial. I actually have to find it. There it is. For the Dance Life Teacher Conference in Seoul. On the other side, we have special guest Liz Imperio. And while this commercial runs, in the comments, let us know who's here and where you're from. Enjoy. Oh, welcome back. Hello, Liz Imperio.
Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Nice to be a part of this. Thank you so much, Ree. Thank you so much, Laura, for inviting me. I'm excited to get into some coffee talk because, come on, there's always something to talk about when it comes to dance.
That's right. Thank you so much for being here today. We're so excited to have you. And I know you're very busy right now. Why don't you tell everyone what you're in the middle of?
Yes. I am actually currently in Miami, Florida, getting ready to do Latin billboards. And I have 16 dancers that we work together for a matter of about 10 days. And we have 11 numbers. These are full-blown beginning to end performances that we put together that allow us to really put on a really sensational show. It goes live on Telemundo. It's viewed by over 44 countries around the world. About 25 million people actually view this particular performance, and it is super exciting. You know, you get to a point where you guys know, every recital season, it is under the gun. You feel the pressure, and every year I actually gauge my success on shows like this by the way I gauge how I handled the pressure. The better I am at handling the pressure and the stress, the more even keel, the better I can think, the more I can be of service, and the better the shows become. So yeah, so this is where I'm at right now.
Amazing. Amazing.
I want to take you back a little, just for our viewers to get to know you a little better. Ooh, when was your first dance class? What was your lightning bolt that said dance is my life?
Well, actually, I'm going to move back just a little bit. My mom was a ballerina in the National Ballet of Cuba. And so when they came over from Cuba, I was born, I'm just going to give it up. I was 10 and a half pounds at birth, guys. I was a big old baby. And in a Latin family, food is everything, especially when it's cooked by grandma. So by the time I was roughly about 2 years old, the doctor actually told my mom, look, you either have to put her on a diet or in some kind of exercise, but we really need to help her. And so my mom was like, great, we'll put her into dance because no one's going to break grandma's heart about her not cooking my food. And so they put me into ballet. And honestly, I think that the moment that really struck home for me about dance, when I really told my mom I wanted to do this seriously, I was about 8 years old. And the National Ballet of Cuba had actually come to Los Angeles. They had lifted the embargo. It was one of the few times that the company was able to come. They performed at the Wilshire Bell. It's a 5,000 seat theater. It's gorgeous. And I remember never set foot in a theater that big before. And that year, and Alicia was still performing at the time. So she was roughly about 54, maybe, yeah, close to my age, 54 years old.
Wow.
And I saw her do Giselle, Coppelia, Carmen, and Swan Lake. And my mom actually got me a chance to go backstage to meet Alicia after seeing the second performance. And I remember meeting her and just, you see that one dancer that all you see is them and everybody else looks like a blur. That's what Alicia was the minute she stepped onto that stage. And little did I know that she is blind in one eye and partially blind in the other. And she guides her way on stage by lighting cues, and all of her partners are always dressed in white. That's how she can find them. And all I could think of was,
oh my gosh.
Granted, now I went to go see Carmen the next day, and, which blew my brain. And then all I could think is like, Swan Lake, 32 fuetes.
Yeah.
You're blind. How does that, how does that work? And she was such an inspiration. The minute she stepped on that, I just remember walking away every night in tears, looking at my mom. I'm like, I don't know what I have to do, but I have to become that. And that was it. I went to a beautiful ballet conservatory studio called Rosalie and Alva's. Alva's actually became the ballet bar for all ballet bars across the country. Alva's Ballet Bars. They were the portable ones that actually moved. They were the ones that actually created. Her son was the one that created and invented that. And that was my studio. And
I remember the company Alva's.
Yes. And that was my home. And ballet was my heart. It still is. It is still something that still penetrates my soul in so many ways. And yeah, that's where it all kicked off. I didn't want to be just a ballerina. I wanted to be a prima. I wanted the roses. I wanted the multiple, like you want the bravos, you want the flowers being tossed. I wanted that.
Yeah.
That's what was in my head every class. At the end of every performance, we took the bow with our ballet mistress. That's all I could see was flowers.
Oh, I love it.
And that journey turned into more commercial dance at some point. What happened? Or did you come to a realization you wanted commercial dance more? What?
Well, what's interesting is that back then, there really wasn't this concept of commercial work. I mean, there were professional dancers. It wasn't labeled that back then. And to be honest, Ree, what changed the moment was actually because of ballet. I had hit a point in my life where my body changed quite drastically. And at that point, I had already been an apprentice at several ballet companies during their summer programs every single year. It was like a no-brainer. They always, through the auditions, they kept bringing me back summer after summer. Then the summer of my puberty kicked in, and everything grew in every direction. And I remember going into the audition, and at the very end, the directors would come to me afterwards and say, Liz, you know how much we love you. You know how talented you are. We just can't take you. You just don't have that ballet. And it was one rejection, and all in one summer, one rejection after the other. And this coming from, I had a very clear picture of what my future was supposed to be. And then it was like being in a room that you have built from the brick, from the ground up, and somebody took a wrecking ball and demolished one wall, demolished the second wall. And before I knew it, I was literally standing in a rubble where my dreams were. That's what it felt like. I felt like I was all my dreams had just turned into rubble. And I quit. I actually told my mom, I'm done. I was so pissed. I was so angry. I was so heartbroken. I was so crushed.
How old were you?
I was 11.
Oh, you were
12.
young. You were
I was
so
young.
young.
I was young. I mean, when I say that ballet, I mean, guys, I was taking 5, 6 hours a day, every day. As soon as I came out of class, as soon as I came out of school, out of the studio, it was an apprentice group of 3 hours and then 2 ballet classes with the rest of the people that would come in at different levels. So my dedication was,
Yeah.
and on the weekends, I didn't want a day off. I didn't, like when it's your thing, it's like that's all you want to do. It's all you want to be. It's all you want to be around. You want to be around the music. You want to be around the movement. You want to be around those dancers that inspire. Like it was everything. So to go from this to having everything completely like crashing down me, I for 2 weeks, my mom let me sit in my pain for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, my mom came in and she was like, look, you're done. You're done doing this. I want to take you with me. And I just remember looking at her like really pissed, like, is it dance? Does it have to do anything with dance? My mom's like, yeah, it does. And you're coming with me right now. And she was like, she wasn't going to hear it either way. And I was like, fine. And just grabbed my stuff. And I'm like, it's better not be ballet. She's like, it's not ballet. I'm like, okay. And I remember walking into the studio and the door was open. Nobody was there yet. And suddenly you start to see this filter of bodies coming through. And they were young, they were old, they were full-bodied men, women, everything you can think of, just walking in. And then at the very end came the guitarist and the teacher. And he was probably in his late 40s, early 50s, Vicente Romero. And everybody put their things around, everybody's lined up. Then suddenly you hear the guitar, and everybody just went, and everybody knew exactly what the warm-up was. And this electricity just shot out. And then he started to sing, and my brain and my body started having like this vibration reaction, very much like what happened to me when I watched Alicia. And there was this unbridled passion, this rawness, this ability to bring out their pain and their grit. And there was just this, it was gorgeous. And I just remember my mom looked at me at the end of class and she tapped me on the shoulder because I was just, my mom kept, I was like, leave me, let me just,
I'm watching. Yeah, I'm in it.
I want to watch this. And my mom said, Mija, well, what do you think? And I looked at her and I had tears in my eyes. And I said, same thing. I don't know what I have to do, but I have to do that. And that changed my life. It was the window that opened when it felt like everything else had been shut down. And it was my love for flamenco that actually brought me into a specialty audition for my mentor, Kenny Ortega. My mom had put in all my flamenco costumes. He had me dancing for 30 minutes because flamenco solos are between 6 to 10 minutes in length. And yeah, it was one of those things that the minute he saw my flamenco dancing, he's like, I want to hire you. But he didn't hire me as a dancer. He hired me as an assistant. And I didn't even know what assisting was. All I knew was, dance. That was it.
Right.
And little by little, this beautiful human being basically opened up, he didn't crack a door. He opened a world. I had no idea about what this was for film, for camera, for commercials, for music videos, for tours. And it all stemmed from the ballet to the flamenco. Guys, I didn't even start taking jazz classes until I was 16 years old. 16, 17. It wasn't until, and it was because of one of my first like professional dance gigs with Kenny that suddenly it's like, I gotta, like, what's this? And then suddenly jazz became, I was like, what? And again, it's just like this, there's something about every person I feel has a conductor, like a conduit inside them. And whatever it is that is going to light you up like a lightning bolt, when it hits, it just comes into your body. That's how it always felt when it came to dance. It felt like somebody had shot a bolt of electricity into my body, and it just kept opening my experiences and opening up my eyes, and it just has never stopped. That's so, yeah.
I love your passion, and I so get that spark thing that you're talking about. it's unique to dancers, and
100%.
it's the thing that makes them turn a corner once they know what that feels like. I don't know if I'm making sense, but
Yes, absolutely.
it's a passion. It's a switch that goes off that says, "This is me."
Yeah.
1000%. Not, and that's the thing. It's, I, I always I have to remind parents, when we go to conventions. I heard you speaking about conventions and competitions. I have to constantly keep reminding parents where to keep their eye truly focused on, because they will focus on, how well their child did, and what their score was, and what did the critiques say, and I get it, I get their interpretation, but at the end of the day, they have to keep their eye on their joy. They have to keep their eye on keeping that passion lit, not what will squander or suffocate it, but what will allow it to thrive and grow. So when our parents are a little stuck, or what I like to say, they are just very confused. The more aggravated and the more emotional they get, it's because their confusion is getting the better of them. Because every parent really does try the best that they can, and not everyone. I was blessed from birth to have an amazing family, and especially my mom, who was such a profound guide to my life, a profound guide. She is my beacon every day. She's always been my beacon, even though, we were oil and water. I always make my relationship with my mom sound like it's rosy. There was nothing rosy, guys. I was still a teenager. I was still a brat. I was still spoiled. I mean, my mom really had to nurture, carve my mind, carve my thoughts, really, and help me to understand how to really make my life, not anyone's life, my life. And that was something that I find that parents get a little lost and confused by what other parents say or what other people think. And I'm like, there's a stronger approach. There's a much more productive, healthier approach to all of that. But, it really does it, because there's only so much a teacher can even say or do. At the end of the day, the conversation that they get into the car that takes them home.
Right. And I feel like sometimes what parents don't realize, and I actually have this in my company handbook, especially, it's like, you're the model for your child of how they're going to interact in a professional environment when they're in the environment, and like when they leave the environment. Like, how are you talking about their teachers? How are you talking about the competition? How are you talking about the choreography? The how you lead conversations is also going to be how they hear it in their head. So you have to be
1000%.
so mindful of that.
And that's the thing.
Mindful.
A parent can be a true asset to a child's education and to a child's growth. I think parents today get a little, again, confused and lost, and they're trying it's like their eyes are on the wrong prizes. And I'm like, guys, there's bigger, more important, more valuable, more long-lasting things to focus on that don't immediately applaud the idea of what the trophy, like the posting and everybody's so short-sighted. And I'm like, you guys need to see the 10, 20, 30, 40, the rest of their life. That's where the parent vision should be. But again, it takes a second to just help them understand how to educate. It's again, I was very blessed.
This is what I think, and I've learned this because I started doing something called Soul in the last couple of years. Parents are like sponges if you make the decision that you're going to educate them. They're confused because they don't understand.
Yes,
correct.
We make assumptions that they know or will get what we're trying to do, or that the award is not the ultimate outcome.
Yeah.
But we're making assumptions. It's up to us, I think, as the dance teachers, to understand that we are educating kids and trying to inspire them to be the best that they can be. But we also have to educate the parents.
That is correct. That's been something I've been actively working on now. This is probably like my 10th or 11th year at this point, working with families. And there's just so much to unpack. There's a lot to unpack. And that's the part that, you know, that's where it becomes a little hard, because there's only so much that even any dance teacher or studio owner has time. Remove parents out of the equation, the job is already full enough. Choreography, music, costuming, organization, management. Like there's already, I mean, I feel like everybody's spinning like all these different plates, and you're just hoping that one doesn't come crashing down. You're like, no, it's like the Chinese spinning. You're like trying to keep them spinning. But there's a point where, again, you know, I find that if there's even places that we can earmark certain things for parents just to be slowly inducted. I find that something I do a lot in my parent courses, that I really try to help them understand how to pick up the right conversation. How do we pick up the right conversation that helps their children? Not, you know, they say that average minds will talk about people. Good minds will discuss events. Great minds will talk about ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And there's such a difference. And our parents get very stuck in the average headspace of what so-and-so is doing. And, you know, she gave me this look, and everything becomes about everybody else except their kid. And it's like, again, we are really hitting the wrong, you think you're helping your child, and I get it. You think you're helping your child by being on their side and buddy talking, but you're promoting a conversation that is not helping. 2, it's removing them, the child, the dancer, from things that they need to really discuss. How to handle a correction. Just that one basic concept, just that one, can literally change any dancer's life. Yep. Just the one. And I remember coming out of every class, especially now when I was young, and especially when I was really being pushed into all of these series of classes. And it took a long time for me, not just to build a physical stamina, but a mental one. There's a mental stamina that comes along with growing anybody in anything, because at the end of the day, they always say, you know, it starts from the top down. We look at it in a studio business as our studio owners down. When we look in the class, it's the teachers down. When we look at the dancer, it's this. Mm-hmm. This is their top, and this will affect the rest. Mm-hmm. So if this isn't in check, I don't care how talented anybody is, this will take you out before you even had a chance to put your foot in the real place of your life.
Yeah. Because don't you feel like going into the dance industry, I have dancers, I've been in my studio we're in our 13th season right now. So I'm getting to a point now where I have dancers who are wanting to do a professional. And it's like, I feel like my goal is to train them technically, train them as performers, train them. But I literally just had a conversation with one of them. I said to her, you're a business. Do you understand that? And she kind of like looked at me and I said, when you walk into an audition, you are an LLC. You are a business. So you need to make sure you know how you're presenting yourself. And I was like, and you're not going to get every single job. And you can't let that let you drop down and drop down and drop down. Like there's going to be lots of no's. I'm like, you're walking into a very, very competitive industry where everyone's hungry for it. And I was like, so you have to be like, mentally, I feel like you're important of being just as mentally strong, if not stronger, than you are technically. And
that is correct. Because at the end of the day, the talent's only going to go so far.
Yes.
And to be quite honest, I can throw a pebble in any direction. It's going to land on talent. Talent is not what makes the professional. It's the way that the kid develops their professional need. My mom was, it's funny that you mentioned the business. My mom got me in a very early habit. By the time I was about 10 years old, 10 years old, that whenever I was going into class or if I was ever going to do an audition, my mom would look at me. She goes, Miha, what you about to do? And I looked at her like, I'm going to go do my job. She already had me in a very, very strong place of knowing that this was my job. I made my first $20 when I was 5. And my mom stood by me, but she was the one that said, "You collect your money."
I want to meet your mom.
My mom is a formidable human being. She is so many things. I swear to, and you know what's funny? I always tell people, I'm like, people are like, "Man, you're a strong human." I'm like, "I'm not strong. This is me. That's me." My mother is like a tsunami. She's like a hurricane. Like, I am barely a puff of wind next to that woman.
But think
Are
about
you an only child?
I am.
Oh, interesting. But
I
think
am.
about, because she knew what industry you're going into. Being a professional ballerina, like that is to me. I mean, I trained in ballet my entire life, but again, I have a body, like I have a more like a commercial modern body,
Right.
Compared to girls at my studio who have a ballerina body. Okay, we all know what that means. But for her to be in that world and know how hard it is, and it's like, and if you're saying this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, for her to then say to you, I'm sure, have a conversation with herself, like, if this is what my kid's going to do, I'm going to give her every tool in my tool belt to help her be ready, like we're going back to, as a business person, as a technical person, and as an entrepreneur. Like you have to be able to do all of that. And like, that's amazing that you had a mom that like that maybe was a part of the dance industry, not in the same industry that the same passion of it, but someone who grew up in it and who just was able to be like, listen, it's going to be so hard and I'm going to get you ready in the best way possible. Like that is such an amazing blessing. Such an amazing blessing.
It really, again, I feel like I was blessed from birth. And there is something to be said about, again, we have to nurture a stamina, we have to nurture a mind, we have to nurture a way of thinking. And so my mom always actively, even if I didn't understand, even if I was resistant to it, my mom's persistency was that perseverance of getting me there, was literally her goal, period. That was her goal. And so for every experience I would come through, like my mom would do her best. And we have our parents that tell us the same stories, that say the same. You can literally mimic your family members, when they say this and they say it in that particular way, and in that when those stories. And I always ask my mom, like, I could do this with my eyes closed, what you're telling me, Mom. She goes, "Mia, it's not about a matter of you hearing this over and over again. I'm just waiting for you to understand what it means." So it wasn't about the story for the sake of telling the story. It was waiting for me to grow enough maturity to finally understand what the story represents.
Right.
And that, to my mom, was everything. It was getting me, how do I open up my awareness? How do I open up my way of thinking? How do I get my child to feel creative? How do I get my child to see more about my mother was a costume designer. My mom was a dancer. My mom taught me how. I sewed my own ballet shoes, guys. By the time I was 7, 8 years old, I was in charge of sewing my ballet slippers. By the time I was 7, 8 years old, I had to be doing my own bun. And first of all, because my ballet teacher, it was, if I was going to be part of the apprentice group, that was a thing. So my bun was a mess, and all my ballet slippers were really sewn so poorly. And my mom's like, "Do it again."
Right.
She would cut the elastics, like, "Do it again." Like, until I understood how to tie the knot at the end of the sewing. And there was something about finding a satisfaction behind the achievement that my mom really wanted me to understand and embrace, and to learn how to be proud.
Yeah, the pride of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Understand how to build integrity. And, again, it's like we learn more through actions than through words. And so my mom couldn't find enough action items in my life to get me to understand, whether it was singing, piano, whatever it was.
Your mother was teaching you independence. Your mother was teaching you how to take care of yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. She's teaching her how to fly. Yeah, exactly.
And for my mom, it was out of necessity, because she came from a communist country. When Fidel came in, he took everything. They froze everyone's accounts. What was your life was no longer your life. My grandfather had to remove my aunt and my mom out of school because he refused for them to be brainwashed. My family had to work in a concentration camp for 9 years before they were even considered to be let out. And the only reason why they got out was because of my mom. My mom was the one that devised this whole plan. I mean, guys, when I tell you, like, her brain, my mom doesn't even know what the word no. My mom doesn't sit in a problem. My mom is all about the yes, and my mom is all about finding the solution. She goes, anything else is a waste of time. So for her, getting my family here, the one thing my mom was really, again, many things that she told me, but this one was really one that really hit home for me. She's like, it doesn't matter, Mija, what he took away, because the most important thing that I brought with me is with me every day. This, there are no guarantees. Just because you get married doesn't mean you stay married. Just because you have a job doesn't mean you get to keep your job. Just because you buy a house doesn't mean fire, water, or just losing the home altogether. There is no guarantee, except for the day that you die. That's the only guarantee there is in life. If you're born, you will die. That's it. Everything else in between is free, is literally game on. That's it. That's how my mom's thought process was. So if I'm going to spend a penny, it's like $1 million to her. If I'm going to invest my time into anything, it's because for my mom, it was always about how to get the investment back. And despite what may happen or may not happen, is knowing that this is not a guarantee. So be ready for anything. So when I do these award shows and they throw, guys, man, when I say they throw some real humdingers my way on day of show. I mean, one day.
I'll make sure they don't see this.
Right. We'll keep this all private.
I'm going to do a memoir just on this show because the stuff. I mean, what studio owner doesn't come with their stories on recital day, recital week, an hour before show, minutes? You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has their thing. The question is, how do you manage? How do you handle? How do you problem solve? Like how, and that you want to talk about scaling your world despite whatever you scale up, not stay stuck and take you down. How do you scale up? Mm-hmm. And for again, going back to my mom's approach to all of this is why she's always been my biggest, not my biggest, just my biggest supporter. She's my biggest asset. She is an asset to my life. She is I always say that my grandmother is my soul, my dad is my heart, but my mom's my spine. She's the one that helps me stand strong, stand straight, and face life. So doesn't matter how many times things have crashed around me. 2008 economy, everything went down. COVID, like at this point, come on, bring it my way. What else do you need me? Well, like what else do you need? So it gets to the point where it's like, there's no bad, there's no good. It's just growth. That's it. Growth, enjoy, growth, enjoy, growth, enjoy. But if the mind isn't used to that as the habit, that's the go-to, then the reaction is, why does this keep happening to me? Oh my, like does anybody have time for that? Anybody? No, not you. No one has time for that. When I held my auditions here, guys, I throw everything at this audition. So this is how I run my auditions, because this show is intense. So not only do I need the most talented, I literally need the most professional, which means I need the
which is different from most talented.
Yeah,
correct. 1,000%. So they will learn the choreography the first round. I make my first cut. I do bring in the boys, cut, bring a callback, bring a different choreographer, because we want to see adaptability of style, because we have 10, 11 different artists, different genres. Like, I need to see adaptability. So then we cut again. Then now it's a matter of how do you handle pressure? First group, I'll put out the first 6, bam, 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 bam. Great. I want you guys to do the first combination you did for me, reverse it. Press play.
Whoo.
Room went, and that tells me right there who instantly goes into work mode,
Yes.
who
I was
freaks
gonna
out,
say, right.
and most importantly, even if they make a mistake, which I don't expect anyone just to outright, although there are some, that mental agility, guys, is everything. That ability of knowing that even if they make a mistake, how would they handle an error? Because if that's on stage, on camera, with last minute changes, I need to know what is your go-to. And there's no way, you never know a person until you put them in a pressure cooker.
Mm.
So when do parents get the worst? Competition. When are they at their worst? Auditions. The bigger, the harder the pressure cooker is, the more the reality of the person shows up. And you start to see everything. In this
I'd be the one who went out crying when you said reversing.
I would have been on the side. I'd have been like, I'm going to figure this out. I just hope it would be in the first group. That's all. That's all. Just hopefully in the first group.
And this is why I even tell dancers in a convention setting, the dancers that are in group one are the bravest ones. Yeah. They're the courageous ones. They're the risk takers. Yeah. My eyes will always go stronger on that first group because they're the willing parties to go. They're the ones that's like, no matter what this is, I'm going for it, which is why group one is always the smallest group. And that's where I typically will find my rock stars.
Interesting.
It's easy to wait till group 4. That's easy.
Yeah.
So if I have a mentorship program. So my mentees, I get them in the habit. Do not wait. Doesn't matter whether you get it right. It's a matter of how you handle the moment, because that moment is going to show up in so many different ways. Last minute changes because somebody gets hurt.
Yep.
How many times does that not happen at competition? I mean, the true beauty of the competition convention world is the fact that the dancers are actually given an opportunity to be put into a pressure cooker. That's the gift. That's what makes going to competitions and conventions worthwhile, because they're not going to feel the pressure cooker at the studio. That's comfort.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, because I feel like that's when you see, I found that a lot of my dancers, my company kids go from like 7 to 18. I have a very wide range. And I actually had to put in, after the first couple years, like a code of ethics between parents and kids in my handbook. And it talks about how our parents are a part of our team. Our parents are there for you. They're going to and from competitions and paying for all these, my whole big spiel, because I actually found, who are you going to be your worst with? It's like common knowledge, your mom, right? Like, who are you going to take your worst days out on? Your mom. Like that's your safe person. But here's the thing.
Absolutely.
Like, when we're there, yes, she's your mom, but she's a part of our team. She's in there when you're 8, fixing your hair, getting your shoes ready, helping with your costume, getting you Gatorade, like running, right? So like, and I didn't like, the girls weren't being mean to each other. I saw them being mean to their parents.
I have no tolerance whatsoever.
Oh, I didn't like that. Yep, I did not like that at all.
This group that I have here, there isn't been one person that hasn't come into the room going, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Their focus, their intention, how good they are with each other, how well they work, what are they producing?
Right.
That daily producing of a dancer's life, their work, their aesthetic, there's so much more. And it's unfortunate because a lot of our dancing today is viewed so simplistically, but there's nothing simple. And when I say simplistically, TikTok makes dance look simple and easy, but there is nothing simple and easy about this world.
Yes.
TikTok is great for tourists. That's the tourist.
Oh, I love that.
This is the real deal. You're coming into my field. You're coming into my home. You're coming into my industry. That is separate from this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what studios breed. You guys breed professionals. And so when I am working again with my mentees, my biggest task is to help them understand how to deviate personal from professional. When they are on the job is, the minute they are in competition mode, that's their job from beginning to end. I need the most professional version of you the entire time. Yes. And or at least helping you understand, what does it mean to be professional in these scenarios?
Yes.
So this is not the time to
And
badmouth them out. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
And no matter if you want to be a professional dancer or not, if you want to be a doctor, you have to understand how to turn that switch on. If you want
Correct.
to be a lawyer, you need to know when you're going to turn that switch on. If you're going to be
There
a
is
dancer, you need to know when to turn that switch on. So even if we're not breeding professional dancers, we're
correct.
helping to breed professionals. That's why I always
Correct.
say to my parents, I'm like, yes, I have a dress code, because if you go into court, you're going to be in a suit and tie, or a professional, right? Like if you're going to be a doctor, you're not showing up in jeans and a t-shirt. You're going to be in your scrubs with your mask, with your gear on. They're all just kind of like, okay, right? You're not going to go play soccer without your cleats. I'm setting them up for success. I'm setting them up in the right mindset. I would love to know, this might take a little bit of a steer to the right. Being in the industry for so long and now seeing the heightened, I feel like, outrageous way that social media has, just like how you're saying, like really, I think it's brought a lot of great things to the dance world, because
Absolutely.
it's started a big interest with the TikTok and da 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 da. But how do you feel that has affected, either positively and or negatively, like the dance world and like dance training? For like, what have you seen? How has that changed things?
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to say for every studio, it's built business.
Yes.
Period. It has built business across the board. It has. Dance was always something that people see and enjoy. Today's dance world is now being seen as a commerce. It is now being seen as business. Even colleges. Notice we now have a third school aiming on doing a professional commercial department over at the Boston Conservatory.
Yeah.
That's the third. It will not be the last. There will be more and more colleges that will start to catch on, because they're starting to see that there's actual business. Now, could they all use a little bit of help? Definitely. They can all use a little help in the design of their programs, but they're starting to get it. They're starting to understand what are the possibilities. And that's the part where there is something to be said about how social media, and that's the thing, guys. It's like our phones. We were given these pieces AI. We're being given all this technology, but no one's giving us a manual on how to use it and how to balance it and how to be able to separate what is real, what is not real. And it's causing this real random fracture amongst our dancers, where dancers are now more than ever, not to say that we didn't compare ourselves to other dancers. We did. Every generation does. That's not new, guys. That's
this
not
is a different level though, Liz. I can
this is
feel
different.
it. Yeah.
Correct. Because it's one thing to compare yourself to the person next to you, or if you go into an audition, or if you go into a convention. But now a kid is comparing themselves to the world.
Right.
Where is that at all fair to the way that they see themselves?
Right. At 15 or 16 or 13.
At 10.
Right.
At 10, at 9,
Right.
it's affecting at a much younger year, which is causing a bigger fracture to their state of mind. Not mental health, guys. By the way, I have to say, I'm very specific. I'm not a big fan about the mental health. My aunt's bipolar schizophrenic, so I never address it as mental health, but state of mind, we all possess that. We all can be able to manage, and we can also shift our state of mind. But if we don't introduce the right signal, and all they're seeing is this, then their signal is just getting stronger in their head about how they see themselves. Right. Versus, and again, going back to my mom was so good about helping me understand actively what I possess versus what the person next to me possesses. It's not a matter of what do just they have. It's also, what do I have? What do I own? I own my training. I own my performing skills. I own. So confidence is kind of like something I'm not really like, I don't play into that world. I'm very specific when I really do use it, but more so than ever, kids need to know how to take ownership of their life, ownership of their dancing, ownership of what they actually train, build, create. Yeah. Versus what social media makes them think, believe. And the more that my mom helped me to understand, not to compare, but to be inspired. One takes and one gives.
We only have a few minutes left, but Liz, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Tell parents or tell us what it is that the parents need to let go of, because I feel like they're fighting their kids' battles. And actually, some of the battles are created in the parent's mind. The kid doesn't even have that battle for real.
Correct. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to do this because I have somebody knocking at the door.
Okay. Well, that's the first here at Coffee Talk.
Yes, it is.
All right, and I'm back. Yeah. We have lunch coming in for the dancers, so the person's bringing in food.
We're going to let you go in just a couple minutes.
No. It's all good. It's all good. It's fine. We're fine. It's a great conversation. This thrills me on so many levels.
I agree. I was just sitting here thinking, wow, I love talking dance. And this is.
Yes. Come on, we got to geek out. That's all we can.
Yep.
I mean, I'm the biggest nerd when it comes to dance. Oh, we'll talk about it all day long. Anyway, going back to parents. Yes.
Moms letting go.
Yes. So I think when working with parents, I think the hardest part is that you're fighting against an idea in their head. Idea of what they think their children are supposed to be, the idea of what they think their legs should be doing, the idea of the kind of scholarships they should be, you're fighting an ideal. You're fighting it's not just the kid's fantasy, it's the parents' fantasy. And when parents come with no history, experience, or training of any kind in the world of dance, you're fighting imagery. You're fighting ideas, not let me help you understand how this works, which is why parents, they go to competition. Suddenly everybody, I mean, I had somebody ask me, so are aerials considered a dance step? Nope, not a dance step and not even a requirement. An aerial is not a dance step, and that's acro. It's a different world. We use it to create nice wow moments. But is it truly the most essential thing when a dancer is dancing? No. How about a scorpion? Are scorpions needed? Let me look. Let me look through all the libraries of all the films of all time. Let me look back at Singing in the Rain. Let me look at a Missy Elliott video. Let me look at The Last Dance. What? No. Wait, no. There is something. Now, this is where competition can definitely help our world, but they don't know how. A lot of things have just kind of escaped us in different levels. And so I think, and that's what feeds the fantasy and the idea of what these parents are connecting the world of dance to. I can't begin to tell you how many times when I go back to my mentorships and I work with my parents, it's like, it's a family affair. I need everybody to understand how to get on the same page. Yeah. But I also have to really unpack everything for them to finally go, oh, is that what that means? Because they don't know. Look, you put a group of dancers in a room and stick one parent in there, parent won't know what the hell is being said or what is happening. Because dancers, we speak a different language. That's all there's to it. We speak a different language. The other day, I said something, I made a reference and I did a little move and literally both my assistants got it. If anybody random, like a person, they'd be like, did you actually say anything? There's, parents speak parent, but parents don't speak dance.
Yeah.
And helping parents to understand, I don't need you to be their coach.
Yes.
I don't need you to be their coach, and you're not the rehearsal director. You're not the choreographer.
Right.
You are the person that is giving your child an opportunity to learn something that's going to make them great in so many different ways. But if all you see is the trophy, that's only going to last for how long? Right. When does that trophy end up in a closet? When does that trophy collect dust? Who's cleaning the trophy? I will always say that trophy only matters to the person that cleans it. And I promise you, no kid's cleaning their trophy.
Mm-hmm.
No, I got it. I love it. It's perfect. It's right up my alley. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do this again, Liz.
100%. Liz, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome, guys. Always my pleasure. You know, when it comes to this industry, and especially when it comes to the dance studios. Patty Obi! Hi, Patty! I love you! Oh my God. And I saw you, Vicky, by the way. There is something to be said about how we need to nurture and protect our studio owners, how we need to nurture and protect these institutions, because that's what they are. They're still educational institutions. They're not just building rock stars. We're building great people, and we're building a separate version of education that includes motor skills, that includes theta, which is our imagination. It evolves and develops so much to our world, to our existing outside of dance. Dance is a powerful instrument in our world. We bring color, we bring music, we bring ideas, we bring healing. Like dance is more than just 5, 6, 7, 8 kick ball change.
Yep.
There is so much more to all of that. And so the more that we can, and again, it's like that home grow, got to build from the inside out. That's what all studios, we all work to build from the inside out. We can't build anything from the outside in. It'll do exactly what that does. It'll just collapse. Can't build you can't build who you are, your value, by how many posts, how many likes. Your value comes from you, not what the world thinks. It's about what you think. But again, if we don't get our kids to like shift that gear, to see themselves, to meet yourself. That's the best part of what dance does. You eventually meet who you are in this world. You meet the best, you meet the worst, you meet the creative, you meet the stuck. There isn't, for a lot of us, there isn't a place in our life that we can't earmark that dance hasn't been a part of it. It's our soulmate. When I hear Reed talk about the soul convention, that's how I always dance. It's my best friend. It's my soulmate. It is with me every day till my last dying breath. That's all there is to it.
Yep.
I'm with you. And I'm not opening up a can of worms here. To me, it's a spiritual thing. You feel it on the inside.
It's our church, most definitely.
Yeah.
You step on that floor, guess what, guys? That's your confession.
I love it.
My confession of my day, my best day, my worst day.
Yeah.
It's my therapy. It's my escape. It's my all. It's my all.
Yeah.
My everything. There isn't a place in my life. Again, it's just like, you know, we do what we do. We love what we do. We sacrifice high. We get low. We get the receiving side feels low in comparison to the payment that is so high. It's a high payment from the day we start. Give up time with family, friends, stay up late for schoolwork, you know, blistering our feet, bruising our knees, waking up late, dealing with rejection, the sacrifice, that payment is high. So what's our return? I can't keep paying my life out and not getting something back. And that's where ownership comes into play. That's where my mom was instrumental in getting me to own my life. Not that life runs me wherever it wants. I run my life. That's it.
How cool is that? Yeah. I so much appreciate you being with us. Thank you, dance teachers, studio owners, for joining us with this coffee talk. And we'll be back in a couple weeks. It won't be a Monday. It'll be the Tuesday after. What holiday is it?
I don't know, but it's Tuesday the 10th. So whatever the 9th holiday is, I know that. I know the date.
Okay, we're having a holiday on the 9th.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, somewhere.
And so we'll be back on Tuesday the 10th, and our guest will be Michelle Sudier. And she's got 2 studios in North and South Carolina, and she's going to share her journey with us. Thank you, Liz. Thank you,
Liz.
everybody.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
great day.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.